Alex Show podcast.
Smart Alex Show, baby!
What's good, my beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of the Smart Alex Show. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't already, drop a subscribe, drop a like down below, leave a review on Apple Pods, a rating on Spotify. We really appreciate it, you guys. This is an episode I'm very excited to bring you guys with my boy James Santore out of Philadelphia. We recorded this about 4.5 months ago, so July 29th of 2022. So it's been a couple months, but still, this episode is jam-packed with wisdom. We got the story of LaSalle baseball. During the pandemic, LaSalle was going to shut down the baseball program, and how James started the Save LaSalle baseball movement and even got Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy to get behind the movement and go out there and do his infamous pizza review, how that story unfolded, James' career in sports business from 76 Capital to Fubo, how he now has started his own business, what that entrepreneurial journey is like, what he does to stay, mentally and physically in shape outside of work. Talk about the power of optimism and mindset. And of course, if you're watching this on video, you see I got my Cowboys gear on, got the Zeke jersey, got the Cowboys hat. Me being a Dallas native, him being a Philly native, we had to get the friendly banter in there with the preseason predictions. He's right up to this point. The Eagles do have a better record than the boys, but we're not too far behind them. We're going to give them that work on Christmas. But with that, you guys enjoy the episode. Let us know in the comments your thoughts. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, today on the Smart Alex Show podcast, we've got someone who's not only an inspiration to myself, but an inspiration, honestly, to people all over the sports industry and beyond. He hails from Philly, rival sports teams, but we'll let it slide. He was a D1 collegiate athlete as a pitcher at Salle University, making batters look foolish, hitting fastballs right past them, striking them out left and right. He'd actually later go on to save LaSalle's baseball program after the COVID-19 pandemic. And he got to do a pizza review with Dave Portnoy during that. So pretty damn cool, if you ask me. A sports business savant, having worked with 76 Capital, Fubo Gaming, writing and podcasting and blogging and doing all sorts of epic stuff that honestly, I don't know how he had the time to do. Now he's founded his own consultancy, 32 Strategies, an absolute legend in the space, someone I'm honored to call a friend and someone I'm honored to have on this podcast. James Santore, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, bro?
What an intro, dude. Wow, how do I follow that up? But thank you very much. That was very well done, and I appreciate that. Thank you. It's good to be on the show.
Man. No, I try to do my guests justice. Like you're an accomplished dude in the space, so just try to hype you up, man. Give you the hype you deserve, dude. I take a little bit of inspiration from Pat McAfee's intros. I think he does a good job of hyping his guests up, like whoever they are. But, everyone's got their own style. Like some podcasters like Joe Rogan, they kind of just jump into the conversation as opposed to an intro. But I like the intros.
Yeah. Hey, good energy is contagious, and that was really good energy. So I appreciate that.
Exactly. Starting it off with good energy, man. Absolutely. So, yeah, man. Obviously, you've had a storied career in the sports business space, and now you've taken the next step in your entrepreneurial journey and, having something to call your own, which is dope and I respect. But take me back to the beginnings, man. You're in college, you're playing collegiate baseball. What were you thinking your career, your journey for life was going to be like back then, dude?
Yeah, man. It was honestly, I had no idea. And I think looking back, I'm happy I had no idea. Because I feel like there's a lot of people that feel like they're supposed to be doing one specific thing or based on what their family does or whatever it is, they have to do that. And and this is a kudos and credit to my parents, but I never felt that way, which is awesome. I felt like I had the ability to figure out what I wanted to do. I just had no idea what it was. But I went into college as a political science major. I wanted to be a politician, which I think, thank God, I did not end up doing that because it's been certainly a crazy time since my time in college. Yeah. But I switched probably, I think it was the second semester freshman year to business, and I was like general business at first, but I started going down and talking to my dad and trying to figure out like what should I focus on? What can I get that's going to provide value as I look to do what I really want to do after college, which I still had no idea at that point. But and great advice from my dad. He said, do something in either like finance or accounting. That way, because if you can understand like the money side and understand how money flows, how businesses build, then you can do the creative side of things, which is what I'm doing now. So I
Absolutely.
thank my dad a lot because like finance is not a fun degree to get, which is what I ended up getting at LaSalle. It's not necessarily the most fun degree, but I learned things then that I've never had to do since. But now that I understand, they help me do other things that allow me to be creative and allow me to have fun with what I do every day, which is what I'm doing now. So starting finance, and then my first job was in corporate finance, and that was like a really cool opportunity for me to go work at a big company. The company was called Independence Blue Cross, and it was 5,000 people, skyscraper in Center City, Philly, and it was the
Oh, yeah.
perfect time. Yeah, so like it was cool. Like it was my first job, and it was a really cool job. So I'm glad I did that, and it,
Yeah.
and that's where I realized like that's not for me. Like corporate America was just not my speed, and it was a great 3-ish years there, but I was like, all right, what else is there? So I was working in cash management and treasury, and I learned a lot from great people, but I was like, I'm not waking up every single day as excited for this as I was for baseball in college. Like that's the thing. That's my barometer for everything. What's
Yeah.
yeah, like what's gonna drive me? Yeah.
No, that's a powerful barometer, man. And yeah, because like that, I was thinking about this the other day, like going back to my days, like playing competitively, soccer. Um, just the excitement I'd had, how passionate I was about it, and how like, you know, there were times where I'm pretty sure I had like the flu and I had fever, but I would still go play a game and not advising people to like play through injury, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what's best for you, but like, like I would just push through whatever because I was that dedicated to the goal of, winning a championship, winning that game with my team. And it's like, that's my barometer too. Like, where can I find something that I'm that dedicated to the goal where I'm willing to do, sacrifice that much to get to it. And also, like, I just enjoyed it so much. And
Yeah.
I was so excited to wake up and do it and go train and go with the teammates and kind of, kick the shit, whatever, and then play the games. And it's like, that's a good barometer to have, man. And it's kind of crazy to think like, I'm like, what, it's kind of like people should try to find that, like a hobby or something to where like, even if you didn't play like sports at a high level or do like, acting or theater, music, whatever, right? Like finding something to where you're that excited about to
Yeah.
have like a gauge, better gauge your life around, like, like
I
kind of
always
like a compass.
Yeah, I always say you have to have your thing, like whatever the hell it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Everybody's gonna have a different thing, but if you don't have something, then where does your brain go to?
Yeah.
What drives you every day? And I think having at least one thing, and I know for me personally, it's a lot of different things, but
Yeah.
the ability to interchange those things is what keeps me going. And I think I'll get into this more too when I talk about where I'm at now, but
Yeah.
the ability to have the freedom to do those things is what drives me, and the
Yeah.
ability to spend time with family and friends and be able to do those things that I want to do is why I started my own business. And I think it's truly like that's unlocking happiness, is being able to have no
Man.
stress, that you can do what you want to do in life but still be able to provide value to other people. So that's a
Yeah,
big mantra.
100%, man. No, a lot of people ask me since I'm young in my career, like, I'll be in an interview, for example, like, oh, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? What's your 10-year goal, whatever, right? Like, the hell if I know. But what I'll always say sometimes is like, corporate for me is a way to build some capital, build some knowledge of the space, and build a network, and then be able to go start my own entrepreneurial journey. Because I know for me, it's kind of similar to you. It's like, it's cool. It's a great opportunity to learn, meet people, the skyscrapers, the office, whatever. It might feel cool for a second, but after a while, like, and this isn't for everyone, but for me, I definitely relate to you in the sense that like I could see myself owning my own thing. And I know for my long-term like lifestyle and what I want to be able to do with my time, like entrepreneurship is a way to not only like, be able to keep providing, for my family, for myself, etc. But also like having the time freedom to do what you want to do. Like it's interesting, man. Like I was in a class one time and they're like, do you think successful people have more hobbies or less hobbies? And a lot of people said less. And it's like the opposite, you know, like a lot of the most successful people are like fucking Ironmans and, you
Yeah.
know, they skateboard like yourself in their free time, or they do all sorts of stuff. You know, it's like that time management and those lessons learned from doing other stuff that you bring
Yeah.
back to your actual job, you know?
Yeah, and that's something that I think our generations probably experience this more than others, but like our parents, our grandparents didn't grow up with technology the way we have.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember as a kid getting yelled at for playing too much video games or being on the computer too much, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But nobody realized at the time, and like I honestly probably didn't realize the full extent of it, but I was learning how to get better at using technology in ways that was going to help my life be better. And I think that's why, again, I do what I do now because I love utilizing new technology. I love figuring out efficient processes, and like there's so many different ways to do that. So a lot of the times as a kid, I'm playing Xbox, I was figuring out new things to do. I was learning about the technology going into that. I would follow the software updates, look at all the things, the branding going on, and all the ways that was working together. And then when I got to work in esports for a
Yeah.
few years, I had this different viewpoint than a lot of other people in that industry. And not to say that that's good or bad, but it's different. And I think a lot of people
Yeah.
need different. And again, you brought up skateboarding. For me, that's when I have most of my best ideas, skateboarding in the gym, because it's the one time I'm not focused fully on work. Otherwise, it's pretty much a constant thought process. But when I'm skateboarding and trying to land a trick or trying to do something, I'm so focused. I want to do it so bad that all of a sudden other ideas flow naturally. And it's not like I'm compressing my brain to try to get as much out as possible. It's letting it come. And that's how some of the things that have led me to be able to start my own business have happened. Is just do things, let ideas come naturally, and enjoy life and be happy, and things will actually start going well.
Yeah, so instead of like actually trying super hard and compressing your brain in the moment to think of those things, you kind of create a space for yourself outside to kind of breathe and just live, and then the
Yeah.
ideas start to come to you.
Yeah, it's honestly just it's trusting yourself and having confidence that you're not like I don't, and this is a maybe a good thing or bad thing. I don't feel like I turn off ever.
Uh-huh.
But when the closest I can get is doing something like that where my brain may not be turned off, but it's turned off from work at that
Yeah.
second. And then again, where I'm not thinking about work because we're trained to think of work as a negative thing. It's just how
Yeah.
human nature. But then again, if I'm doing something else and at that time skateboarding's work or lifting's work or even baseball's work,
Mhm.
then all of a sudden the business things that I've been thinking about and trying to focus on, that's not work anymore. And those ideas come naturally. And then all of a sudden, I'm even more excited to then try to execute and implement them.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's a
that's
different
awesome.
mindset, but
No, that's awesome. I love it, dude. I love it. I mean, I think it speaks volumes about like, you know, there's just so many ways that people can go about, you know, especially like in the creative space, right? Like where we kind of play, like when it comes to like branding and creating this content and stuff, it's like if you can kind of get away from it, you know, the writer's block can disappear. You know, you're
yeah,
skateboarding, you're playing baseball, you know, I'm hooping, I'm playing soccer, you know, whatever it is, right? I'm in the gym. It's the same as you. A lot of times that's where some clarity about things I was kind of like foggy about in my brain have come up. Like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here, yada yada yada, you know, and you can clarify it. But yeah, dude, no, I appreciate that insight. It's also dope, like going back to, you know, the way you were raised with your parents, how like you never felt the pressure to like, oh, I've got to follow in dad's footsteps. I've got to follow in grandpa's footsteps, mom's footsteps. Cause I feel like that a lot of times, like even subconsciously, we're influenced by it, right? Like we respect our dads, you know, we kind of like really look up to them. You know, you want to follow in the footsteps, even if they're not telling you directly to do so, right? It let alone if they're like, oh, I'm a doctor, you know, my dad was a doctor, you're gonna be a doctor. Like that's like a lot of pressure on people, and it kind of like makes it hard for them to do what's really for them. But going back to it, bro. So you're in finance, right? And you're you know doing what'd you say, like cash management stuff like
yeah,
that, right? So
which was
now
cool.
you're in a completely different space, right? Like what was that journey like of realizing like, you know, this is cool, I'm grateful for the opportunity, but I want to do something totally different? Like how'd you go from there to like 76 Capital next, for example?
It's again, I have a very like vivid memory of like all of these things happening, and I always think like
uh,
everything happens for a reason because like looking back, like it's almost like an RPG, like in a video game. Like you choose your path. Like everything is a decision and you can't go back and change it. So everything that happens next is just part of that story, which I think is a fun way to live life. Because I remember going into a meeting and it was like a board meeting with all the CFO, CEO, like all the executives. And I was like, at the time, I'm 23. And I'm just happy to be in there because I'm soaking up the information. I'm meeting them, networking, getting comfortable being in a room with people like that. So from that perspective, it was awesome. But I remember sitting in there and I hate, like, and this is like a funny thing about me, like I can't sit in a meeting and not be active in it. I would
Mm.
literally fall asleep.
Yeah.
I swear to God, like my first ever meeting at that job, I fell asleep and I had a marker in my hand and the marker, I dropped it and it woke me up. And that's why nobody ever knew. But I fell asleep completely my first day. But like it's this thing. So like I'm sitting in this meeting, in this board meeting, and I'm like, they're talking about financial things and how to improve this or how to improve that, but it's nothing about making things better. And that's because again, insurance is a very nuanced industry. It's not like they
Yeah.
could, but like I'm thinking like, what if we did this? What if we did this type of campaign or did this type of thing to target a different market? Like, and it starts to hit me like I'm not thinking the same way these people are, and that's okay because
Uh,
maybe my mind isn't financial. Like maybe I'm good at finance, I understand it, but maybe that's not where I can maximize myself. So like it hit me in this meeting, and I just remember like walking out of there like a zombie, like, man, did that like I feel different now. And it was like an anxious piece of me. I'm like, everything I thought I was going to be doing just changed. I had a very safe job, very cool job. And then all of a sudden it hit me that I couldn't stay. And I was like, this sucks. Like I had everything planned around this. So in that moment, I'm like, what's next? And you really don't know. And again, in being in that specific industry position and not knowing what I wanted to do made it really hard. So I like passively was looking at jobs, just trying to see what was out there. And one day I stumbled upon 76 and it was for a chief of staff role. No idea what that meant. It said you need to have a JD or an MBA. Didn't have either of those. But my dad, and this is the power of networking, my dad had known Wayne Kimmel from his time working his own startup
ah,
in the internet boom in the late 90s. And they had just met a few times, like they had known each other, not like anything more than that. But my dad happened to see this post and said, hey, like, this looks like a cool job for you. Like, I never thought I'd work in sports. It's a dream, but I never thought I would. He said, hey, you can work in sports. This is helpful because it's venture capital. You have the finance background. Give it a shot. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, there's no shot. Applied, had 2 phone interviews, and then all of a sudden on my birthday, I get a text. Can you meet tomorrow morning in Atlantic City for an in-person interview? I'm like, well, shit, I'm about to get ready right now to go for my own birthday. And I'm like, I got to be up at 7 a.m. to go drive to this interview now. But I'm like, that's kind of seems like fate right there. Like,
hell yeah.
I'm, I'm like, dude, you know what? I'm going to go out tonight and have fun, be responsible, and wake up early and go to this thing and crush it. And I did that.
Hell yeah.
And then, like, all this,
Still went out the night before.
yeah. And you know what? Because I'm like, I think a lot of that, and this is just the way I think about things, is mentality, like hangovers, like being so tired about things. Like if you're so excited about every single thing you do, I honestly, I never really feel tired because every single day I'm excited to do every single thing on my list. And that's like, that's something that I'm really passionate about. But that's how, again, like it's my 23rd, 24th birthday, whatever it was at the time. And I'm like, I could have just been like, hey, you know, I can't meet you in AC an hour and a half away at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Could have made an excuse and not done it or done whatever. And I was like, no, I'm gonna go drink, go have a good time, and then I'm also gonna go crush it. And I did. And I got that job. And the rest has been crazy since then.
Damn, bro. Yeah, yeah. Like you said, it's like a video game RPG. Like you could, choose your pathway. And
Yeah.
damn, dude, that's a wild journey, dude. And what a great birthday present to receive the text and like still go out, celebrate the birthday, and then go the next morning and like change the trajectory of your career, your life.
I'd
That's a
never have
wild
done more
thing,
research. I've never done more research than I had just for trying to understand that because I didn't really understand venture capital at the time. Like it's something I never really knew. But going through that process, I wanted to know every single thing I could of things that I know I could speak on, which the cool thing about 76, sports focused venture capital. So all of the investments they had already made were things that I was
bro.
passionate about and knowledgeable about. So I got really, really familiar with all the portfolio companies and made sure that in these conversations I can bring that up and discuss ideas, discuss different ways to market them, even though that's not what I was there for. But I was like, I understand what we're
Yeah.
doing. I need to learn more, but give me that chance, and I promise you I'll do it. And that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, that speaks volumes, man. Like the fact that you had a passion for the space already, but you did your due diligence, even though you didn't have to, about everything related to what y'all were doing. So once the opportunities came up, once the luck came up, you were prepared for it and to take advantage of it. But like going back to what you're saying about like you're rarely tired, dude, that is like, people would be so envious. People are envious of people like yourself that are able to live that life where you're doing things. You found a way to align everything you're doing, whether it be personal or professional or whatever, right? You found like a mix of things that you're excited about all of them. And now you're able to like push through, being tired, running on low sleep, maybe hangover, whatever the case is, right? That's so dope that, you're so excited about it that you're like, it doesn't matter. I have
Yeah.
that extra energy boost because I'm passionate about what's going on here. So I can push through it. Versus like if you hate what you're doing and you're already tired, and because you hate what you're doing, you're extra tired and less motivated to go to it. So it's like you've got, that working with you. You got the wind at your back pushing you forward. So that's dope, man. That's dope that you've created that for yourself.
Yeah.
Respect.
And it's a testament to my parents, really, because I've seen my dad specifically go to the gym. I used to go to the gym with him as a kid at 5 a.m. basically every single day. So
Hell
as a kid, I'm like, this is annoying as hell. Like, why does he have to do this? Like, I hear it every, it wakes me up, whatever. And but then I started getting a little older. I used to go watch him play basketball, watch him, work out. He'd just be a part of that
yeah.
environment. And my mom was the same way. So both my parents would wake up and obviously different times so that we'd have somebody to watch us, but like see them spending their mornings working out and staying in good shape as a big
100%.
piece of that. And then as I got further along with baseball, it was also I had to do that too. So I remember in high school, I had to rehab my shoulder at 4. I had to wake up at 4 a.m. I had 5 a.m. rehab, would then go from that to school, then go from school to lifting, then lifting to practice. And that was in high school. So like then all of a sudden I get to college and we have 5 a.m. lifts 4 days a week. I was like the only guy, and this is nothing wrong with this. It's just I'd already done it, but like
Yeah.
I didn't care. I was like, okay, like this is just a normal thing, but like I was different because of that. So since then, like that's how I start my day every single day. Like I've been bouncing around a little bit right now, but usually my day starts at 5 a.m. I go to a skate park that's 20 minutes from my house, skate for about a half hour, hours cardio, think, decompress. Then I go to the gym and I lift because that's a different type of release for me. So but it's cardio then lifting. So it's anywhere from an hour, hour and a half total, which isn't that bad. And then by the time it's 9 a.m., I've already had a full day and I'm feeling good and I've done things for myself. And then it's ready for work, ready for family things, ready for whatever, everything else I need to do. But as long as I can get done what I need to get done before my day starts, then I feel like I get 2 days, 3 days, depending anything out of a single day because I get to do things that make me happy. And again, I feel like that's the way I feel like accomplishments really should be. I don't care about how much money I make. I don't care about anything else, but I care about having the most time and the best used time of anybody because time is the most valuable thing in the world. And that's the one thing that drives me nuts is when people waste time. And I'm like, I want to maximize it. And that's why, again, I've started my own thing.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. No, that's a great clip right there, bro. About just life and time, and it's funny, man. Like a lot of people, like ask the question, like, what makes a good life? What makes a life well lived? Well, if you look at it, it's really like just what makes a good day. What makes a good day lived? What are you doing every day?
Yeah.
Like yourself, carving that time out for yourself every day in the morning to like wake up and get started on the right foot and skateboard and decompress. And that's kind of like your time for
Yeah.
yourself to like almost that's like your own way of meditating, right? And then working out. And then by 9 a.m., it's like you've already done that for yourself. Now you're ready to kill it. You're already way ahead of everyone else who's barely waking up and starting their 9 to 5. So that's big time, dude.
And I
That's
think, and that's okay. And like, and my girlfriend will say this. She like, it's never condescending. Like people think it'll be condescending because I do that. Because I wake up early, I expect others to do that too. I don't, because my whole thing is everybody works differently. Everybody's built differently.
100%.
So you have to figure out whether it's morning, night, whatever it is. And it's not just lifting, but like anything.
Yeah.
But you have to figure out what makes you go, what's going to get you excited to get through to your day or get done parts of your day to do that. Like I know last night I went to sleep I was working till 12:30 at night. I was exhausted, but I did that because this weekend I have a college reunion thing and I want to be able to enjoy that to the fullest extent. So I was like, of course I'm going to bust my ass right now, finish this so I can spend more time with my friends, because that's what
Exactly.
honestly is more important than anything. So it's like knowing that, like, and it's me understanding my work ethic, my ability to get things done, and challenging myself. Like I like giving myself deadlines, doing all that, because then again, it's even more exciting if I do a good job of getting it done. Like those are the small things that again keep that energy going. And people call me like I'm just a golden retriever because I have this, every day is the best day ever. But like every day it's a new opportunity to do something else. I'll learn new music, or the Phillies will win, and it'll be a fun day because of that. Like small things, but they make
Yeah.
the day that much better. Like it's maybe weird for that, but I don't care if I'm weird because it's fun to live like that.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think that's a big part of why you're able to, be so energetic and have happiness and be the golden retriever, like they say, like just looking for things in the day to get excited about, like whether it be a Phillies win or, the Eagles picking up a big signing or, whatever it is, man. Like, is that a big part of it, you think? Like just trying to find things that can uplift your day that are like small wins?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is being comfortable that that's not normal. Because apparently, like I think that's something I struggle with most of my life, is like because I was always feeling like the small things that I'd get excited about, nobody else would be excited about. And they think I'm weird because of that. So for a while, I would try to like hide my excitement and would try to hide my personality because I was just uncomfortable because I was different. And then eventually, like as I got older and as I matured and as I realized what really matters, and caring about what people think and all that stuff, I was like, no, like this is pretty good. Like I'll have a conversation with anybody. I'll say good morning to anybody. I want to do that because
Yeah.
you don't know if that person's had the worst day of their life and then they just need somebody to give them that few seconds or that acknowledgement. Like I honestly, like I don't care. I'd rather spend time talking to somebody that I don't know and be late for something than not have that opportunity to meet a random person that could change my life. I could change their life. Who knows?
100%. 100%. I love that, man. I love that. It's like you're comfortable now with being different, and you're different because you're comfortable going into uncomfortable stuff, like saying hello to the stranger,
Yeah.
getting up at 5 a.m. and working out, rehabbing the Tommy John elbow and coming back for it. Like you're comfortable doing those uncomfortable things, and that's what makes you different. And that's dope, dude. And I relate to that in a sense because like, growing up and like just, trying to adopt an optimistic mentality about things. Because I was like at an early age, I realized like, like there's certain things you have to keep perspective on, and there's certain things people go through in life, like where if you don't have an optimistic outlook about things, like it can be really easy for life to get you down. Like I feel like having a realistically optimistic perspective is like the healthiest thing you could do for yourself, right? And it shows
Yeah.
like with your career, with your lifestyle. And I think it's helped me a lot, to get through the things I've gone through and get to where I am now. It's like, but it does feel weird, right? Like in society where it's like, everyone else, it might be cool to like shit on everything and like, oh, this sucks. Like it's like Kevin Hart has a little clip about this where it's like, oh, everyone says, oh, that Avengers movie was great, and there has to be that one guy like, oh, I thought it was shit. It fucking sucks. Then everyone's like, oh yeah, it does suck. Just this wanting to be different and this wanting to be negative. It's kind of weird to have to go through all that and like see all that and still maintain your positivity.
Yeah, I mean, it's just again confidence. Like, and again, it's something I just didn't
Yes.
know that I was allowed. And it's a certain type of confidence. There's ego, there's confidence, there's all
Yeah.
of that. It's finding the perfect balance, and I think the biggest thing is self awareness and all that, because it's like, and like you said, like I'm looking at everything. I'm so excited for little things, but I'm also very cognizant that I've had a very lucky life. Like I just know that. Like, and I think like I'm lucky that I went to LaSalle to see that, because I'm living in the suburbs. Like I grew up and only saw what I saw. And then all of a sudden I'm in North Philadelphia and I had to fend for myself. But I was like, I took that as an opportunity to learn and learn how to be a part of that community. Like, and I tried to do that. And I'm so happy I did. And same thing when I lived in the city in Philly, like be a part of the community. Don't just
Yeah.
be, don't just be there. Like I don't want to just be anywhere, but I think it's just one of those things that, again, we've had great lives, and that is temporary. Like bad things are going to happen, and they haven't happened yet, but that's just human nature. That's life. But it's not being scared for those things. It's being prepared, and being prepared to tell yourself at any point that everything happens for a reason, and that everything, you know, it's okay if somebody passes away. It's okay if your business fails. And as long as you understand that, as long as you prepare yourself for that, and as long as mentally you can say there is always something else.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I think keeps me going. Because I know I've struggled really bad with anxiety for a lot of my life and had no idea about it. And as a kid, like 9/11 screwed me up really bad.
Mhm.
And that's all I would focus on is death and planes crashing and my
Mhm.
dad not being able to come from a business trip because his plane like things. That's what I would focus on.
Mhm.
And that's tough because then again, everything does just seem worthless when you're like, wow,
Yeah.
things happen that are out of your control. What do you do next? So again, I think it's understanding that things happen out of your control, being confident in that you can only do what you can do. You can only control what you can control, and you deal with things as they happen. But as long as you're vigilant and you're making smart decisions, you can have a good life. And I think that goes for anybody.
Yeah, bars, man, bars. There's always something else. That's a great mentality to adopt, when trying to persevere through tough times. It's like it sucks to say, but that's part of life. People, loved ones passing away, businesses failing, things going the wrong direction. It's like you can't attach your self-worth to, I screwed up, I threw a pitch wrong, and dude hit a walk-off home run and we lost. Or like me playing goalkeeper in soccer, right? Like, I on the penalty, I went right when I should have went left, and we lost the game. It's like your self-worth and your outlook on life can't be dependent upon these things that are just a part of life, these temporary things. It's like there's always something else, there's something better coming, and you just gotta have the patience to wait for it, man.
That's a really good point you just said
Yeah.
too. Just one small thing on that. I think a lot of athletes, especially college athletes, struggle with this, but like having an identity crisis post college.
Yeah.
Like for my whole life, I was identified as a baseball player. And then all of a sudden I'm like, nah, I work in finance. Like sick. This is great. But then I'm like, well, I was identified because I was a baseball player because I played baseball, because I focused on that. That was the thing I was passionate about. And I just happened to be able to play at a level that some people weren't able to play on. That was it. But I just did something, I just did it during the day. That's why I was a baseball player.
Yeah.
And I think as I took a few years off, then I started playing again in like a college summer league, just that some older guys playing too. And I realized that it was never about me playing Division One baseball, never about me playing baseball at all. It's about me being confident that that's a part of me as a part of my identity, no matter when I played, no matter how I played. It's like being an athlete, I think in general is just that's like the patch on your sleeve, the patch on your chest. As long as you're proud that you're an athlete, you know that like being an athlete really means like you're a great work ethic. You're always looking to do something else and get to that next level. And you are willing to outwork other people. Like that's really what it is. And I think
Yeah.
that's something it took me a while to realize, because my college career was definitely not what I'd ever wanted it to be.
Mm.
But at the same time, the fact that I stuck it out and was able to be there for 4 years and just to be a college athlete at all, I am so proud of myself now. And I don't think I could always say that because I didn't have the right aspect of looking at that and approach to it.
So like in the moment in college, you wanted to be, get more playing time, have more success, things like that. And then now you look back at it and you're just grateful for the opportunity to like have been in the program for 4 years and gone hard. And you look at it more like as the lessons learned and the lifestyle and a piece of you, as opposed to like, I didn't strike this dude out.
Yeah.
So,
I was like ashamed of it almost. Not I wasn't even like that bad. Like I really like I just didn't pitch as much as I would have liked to, but I also had
yeah.
Tommy John right when I was supposed to be pitching a
True.
lot.
True.
It's just one of those things like because people would say, especially my first job, it was like, oh, you played college baseball, like how hard you throw or how many win, like all the questions. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't play that much. At the time I was like embarrassed by it. And I was like, well, as I started getting older, I'm like, why the hell am I embarrassed? I played Division One baseball. They think it's
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. Exactly. It's so crazy, bro. The mind is so crazy. Like this, like I don't know. It's like it's a beneficial piece of the human mind because like you always want to do better. You always want to keep excelling, but at the same time, it's like, hold on, hold on. How many people in this office play Division 1 sports? Like, oh
Exactly.
wait, nobody. I'm the only one. Why am I
Even
ashamed
if
that
they
I?
all did, who cares?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Like, but it's just we're not trained to think like that. And
Yeah,
again, it's I don't like I wish I this is the one thing I can't remember is like when it hit me that all that stuff's like that. Like
yeah,
because it was a complete change for me. Like I was so worried about everything and it honestly ruined my baseball career because of that because I was so worried about why like after Tommy John I came back was throwing harder than ever at first. Then all of a sudden my shoulder went. But then I think if anything if I'm being completely honest, I got the yips so bad because I had so much anxiety because I was trying to
yeah.
get like I came back and was throwing harder than I expected to. So then I'm like, okay, this is a great start. What happens next? Like, all right, I hit 90. I want to hit 93 in 2 weeks. And then trying so hard to do that and not seeing immediate results, I didn't know how to handle it. And I think I literally was just forgetting how to pitch because I was so stressed out. But like now I'm so
Yeah.
self-aware of that. And I think that specific instance, and this is sports in general, I've learned from that. And I'm willing to take the time to really sift through things and plan things out. And I think again, using baseball as the example, and it's something that really bothered me for a while. I think I've been able to turn into a positive.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That's dope to see the journey of like self-awareness. And how big is that, man? Like the yips, like from my perspective as a goalkeeper, right? It's like it can happen, in terms of like your timing when going out to get a ball that's crossed into your area, or your judgment on certain balls coming in. How big is that for a pitcher though? Because I feel like you're on your own island on the out there on the mound. Like how big can the anxiety get when it's like, everything is on me in a sense. Like if I fuck this pitch up
Yeah.
and this dude, hits, and it's like, how big are the yips? You think they're bigger like for a pitcher than maybe other positions in other sports?
I think I mean, it all depends situation, position,
Okay.
like, all those different things. But I know specifically for me because like I didn't throw my first college pitch until I was 21 because
Okay.
I redshirted my freshman year, had the best summer of my life, tore my elbow right before the playoffs in that summer, sat
Damn.
out again my sophomore year. So I didn't get the pitch till my junior year. So, but I didn't really play organized baseball because of recovering for like basically 2 or 3 seasons. So I honestly just forgot everything.
Yeah.
And it's because the game situation is different than a bullpen. So
True.
for one half of it, I started balking like crazy. And balking for anybody that doesn't know is when you don't come fully set as a pitcher.
Mm.
So if that happens and there's nobody on base, it's a ball. If it happens, there's somebody on base, they get to move up another base. And I literally could not stop. It was insane. I would tell myself, come to a pause. Think I'd come to a pause and continue to go. I mentally, there was no mind body connect. And
Mm.
like in games, there's one game I came in bases loaded and I balked 3 times in a row. Bases loaded. And I just remember being there like, what the hell is going on? Like, I swear to
Yeah.
God, I just, and that's a tough thing as somebody to be there and to know that I should be able to be competing and know that I want to compete,
Yeah.
not mentally and physically being able to come together and say, come to a freaking set. Like it made it was so frustrating. But that's half of it because it's the baseball aspect. The other half is the physical, where it literally, again, I still don't know if it was a shoulder injury. I have no idea if it was a physical thing or not. And that's why Markel Fultz, Philly sports guy, like I never talk bad on him because what he went through, what he's going through with his arm, sounded like a lot like what I dealt with in the sense that it felt like my arm was 75 pounds every single time I tried to throw. So when I used to be throwing, like I came back and I touched 90 the very first inter squad that I came back from Tommy John, and I was pumped up. Like I was like, I've worked my ass off and I've came back better than ever. And then all of a sudden 90 turns to 78 and there's no reason for it. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? And my arm just didn't feel right. My body just didn't feel right. And I got so mentally out of it that it changed me as a person. Like I hated everything because I could not figure out why I couldn't throw strikes. And again, it turns out all this, and thank you to Kevin Love for starting the crusade about mental health in professional sports, because it made me realize, oh shit, maybe this is a real thing. Maybe it's not me just all of a sudden losing my powers. Like that's what it felt like. And I was like, I didn't do anything for this to happen, you know?
Yeah, and it's like a mind fuck too, because like you said, it's like your identity has been so tied to like I'm a baseball player, I'm a soccer player, and it's like once you feel like your power is fading, you're like, okay, well, what am I if I can't do this? In a sense,
Yeah.
it's kind of like that identity crisis you mentioned earlier, like collegiate players post college or pro players, post careers, like what am I now? What do I do? I still have
Yeah.
this competitive edge, but I can't compete at that level anymore, whether it's because, I'm just not eligible to play anymore. I've exhausted my years at the collegiate space, or because I'm not, able to compete at the pro level anymore, whatever it is. But it's like so interesting psychologically how like
Yeah.
these things are so real, and people are like looking at it like, how is that possible? Like it's definitely possible. It's a
Yeah.
crazy thing, bro. It is.
I
I
think
remember having that feeling as a goalkeeper, dude. Like there was a game, I want to say my junior year of high school. It was like I made a couple of bad errors and like timing, like when I was supposed to go out and get a ball. And basically they were crossed into the area, and then I just mistimed it. Dude headers it in, and then the next ball, like they shoot it, and it's just should be just a routine save, or they call it a parry when you tap it over the bar. So I go to do this. I just fucking missed the ball. And I was like, what the hell just happened? Now we're losing 2-0 in a game that should be 0-0 right now. And I'm just like, it's like a crazy thing because you feel like, damn, I feel so accountable to my teammates. Like I just let them down. I'm sure that's how you felt when bases were loaded, right?
well, dude, and then I had another experience, and this was like, again, looking back, it was St. Patrick's Day 2015, I think it was. Still like one of the worst days just because of the way I acted in the sense, but we're playing Delaware State, and Delaware State is known for having a stadium that's just a boombox, like a bandbox. Like they usually lead the NCAA in home runs, and it's a small field with wind and all that. And I remember it was like 40 degrees out, cold as hell, windy as hell. And the game total, I think there was 35 runs scored,
Okay.
and probably 15 home runs total between the two teams.
High
And
score affair.
yeah, yeah. So and we won, thank God. But I remember like I got set in the pitch, and I started off my career with 8 scoreless innings. They weren't all pretty, but they were eight scoreless innings, and I was like, this is pretty cool. Like, all right, like I'm gonna keep this going. I'm proud of this. But I wasn't mentally strong enough to really be able to do that. Like again, I didn't have that ability to say, all right, I'm gonna be proud of this and pitch better because of it. It went away as soon as I stepped on the mound, and I became somebody I wasn't anymore. And that game, I let up 3 home runs in an inning, and it was one of the weirdest. Like, because the first one pitch line out hit the hell out of it, but line out got an out, so I was already had an out. And then next pitch, home run, but it was like a pop up that just carried, and like most stadiums would have been an out, a routine out, but that's a home run. Next batter, same thing. And then the next batter, same thing. Like 3 home runs that literally looked like God came down from heaven himself to pick that damn ball up and put it over the fence. Like
Angels in the outfield.
like seriously, like it seemed like there's no business doing that. But I was so pissed off. I'm like, I went from having a 0 ERA to just letting up 3 home runs an inning, which is something I've never let up done in my life. Like, what the hell? And I was angry at everything because I was like, why did I deserve this? Instead of thinking, again, what could I be doing to not allow this to happen? What could I have done on the mound to kind of find myself and to not allow my frustrations and lose control like that? And I think, again, I never would have realized it in the moment, but then that's something that tormented me for a while. And again, baseball has really been a way for me to figure out other aspects of my life because of my experiences with baseball. So I've tried to turn all these negatives into positives, and that give me different guidelines to have success other parts of my life. But those are the only reason I give these anecdotal experiences with baseball, because like I was so embarrassed by that. I would get pissed off if people made fun of me. Now I make fun of myself as I'm talking about it on a podcast. Like, but I think it's just being confident in that. Like, yeah, I lit up 3 home runs at a Division I baseball game. It was freaking awful, but it's still, I was doing that. Like the fact that I had the opportunity to even pitch in that game was cool. Now I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
so.
Exactly. It's cool you even had the opportunity to, give up those runs. And it's dope that you've gained the lessons from having gone through that, like self-awareness and ability to like pick yourself back up after failure, and not attaching yourself so closely to something to where the failure just like completely fucks you
Yeah.
up. like fucks up your confidence. Now you're able to, make fun of yourself and have that confidence. That's dope, dude.
Jacob deGrom's letting up home runs in the minors right now. If Jacob deGrom's letting up homers in the minors, I'm allowed to let up homers at Dell State. Like that's how it should be. And it's just, again, sometimes that person's just better than you in the moment, and you just got to tip your hat.
That's true, man. That's true. In the moment. So I'm very curious about this saga of your story, man. Like, so COVID-19, obviously, like a lot of budget cuts happening, a lot of financial issues for, the entire country, specifically like collegiate, athletic programs. So what's going on? Like LaSalle's gonna, get rid of the baseball program. Is this what's happening in 2020?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, and I can give you the whole story, and there's actually not a happy ending, which is the worst part.
Oh.
So yeah. So basically it's 2020, and it's like at that point in the pandemic where it's towards the end of the summer, things were looking a little bit up, and then there was a little bit of worry with the fall and stuff. So, but just things are good. Like everybody's working from home still, and I'm on a call, and my roommate knocks on my door and says, which never happens because he knows I was on a call. Like, we're pretty good with that stuff. He's like, check your phone. And I'm like, oh man, like, did somebody pass away? Like, I was, obviously nervous. And I look, and it said LaSalle's cutting 7 programs, including baseball. And I'd never been more shocked to read something. And again, like I had my grandmother pass away a few months ago, which was something that was awful. The same thing
Sorry
happened.
for your loss, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I've lost both my grandmothers in COVID. It's been awful. And those texts or calls are obviously awful to receive. But not obviously, it's different losing a person than a team. But reading that headline, reading that article, I didn't know how to react because, like, I think we probably had joked about, the team getting cut because we sucked the 1 year. Like, oh man, we're gonna get cut now because of this. Like, you make those jokes.
Yeah.
But then to see that in writing and to think again, my brain went right to, what is life gonna be like when I don't have LaSalle baseball to follow and I don't have these guys to support and something to be proud of? Again, part of my identity. And I swear to God, like, I was on this meeting and I said, guys, I got to jump. Like, something just happened, as if again somebody had died, but it literally felt like that. And I went down and talked to my roommate, and we are like, dude, like, what the hell? Like, what the hell did we do? Why did nobody know about this? Why was there no if it was a budgetary thing, why not tell us beforehand so we can try to raise money? Like, it was just out of the blue for us. Again, we're a little bit more disconnected now being alumni. Mm-hmm. But the first thing that we did was say, all right, let's set up a town hall. Let's get a Zoom meeting together with as many people who care about LaSalle baseball and figure out what, if anything, that we can do. And we got like 75 plus people on this Zoom call. And it was nice during the pandemic to kind of get a group of people that haven't really been connected in any sort of form together, and as far as our alumni base and community. And we just talked, and we said everybody was frustrated and they wanted the program to stay. And we started talking about media strategies and fundraising strategies and all that. But again, we started the conversation. So that was the biggest thing. We rallied troops. We had people that cared about it. We knew that we had people that cared about this, as opposed to if we try to get a town hall and 10 people showed up, maybe at that point, there's a reason for that it's getting cut. But there's a lot of interest in what was going on. And what we did is then started thinking of these different strategies to gain attention for it. And that's where Barstool came in. And that's where it's one of those things, again, just me and my buddies who, again, I was living with LaSalle baseball guys, which, again, all my best friends for the most part are LaSalle baseball guys. Like, it's truly a family. And that's what I'm doing this weekend, is going to see LaSalle baseball guys. And I'm so damn excited. But like, we just started talking about what are things that we can do. And this is truly where the business side of things blends in with this. How can we get attention and create a cause to raise capital to then help save baseball? Who are the right types of people? What is the demographic that we would need that's going to rally troops? Like, literally everything you would do if you're trying to build a business. And Barstool had just launched in Barstool Sportsbook in Pennsylvania. Portnoy obviously has a big following, likes to do things a little bit creative. So that's right where we went. It was literally like the first idea. And I said, how about we do this? These are the things that if we, again, feed into his ego, which I'm saying that with a smile, like, and I'm saying that in a negative way, in a positive way, like, give him his name on the field, or we'll do something else that we can do to kind of like highlight him as the king of or savior of LaSalle baseball. Mm-hmm. And he fed into that because people were like, oh, that makes sense. And I think that's why we had a success of trying to get people's attention at the beginning, because it just made sense. We were like, oh yeah, Dave Portnoy could come in and save this program and be a hero. That makes sense. Like, it just sounds like something that can happen. So like all of a sudden, like, this starts taking off, and I fired out a few tweets, and he starts interacting with it. And then there's hundreds and thousands of people that are now saying save LaSalle baseball. And like, for a little bit, it was just like, holy shit, are we gonna do this? Like there's enough people now that care. We had thousands and thousands of people. And then we do a pizza review, and we get over 2.5 million views on that, and people commenting and supporting us. And all in the while, we're raising money. And we had a GoFundMe with like 35,000 or something like that, I think it was at. But then on the other side, we had people pledging a lot of money, and we ended up raising over, between $600,000-$700,000 of pledges, like, which is a lot of money for anybody to be able to say, hey, if you do this, we'll give it to you now, like a ransom note. But that ended up not being enough. But then I'll get to that. But we do the pizza review, and all of a sudden, people are just like, all right, yeah, it's definitely gonna happen now, like, easy. And then I talk to the school, and they basically tell me that I can't associate with Barstool anymore. And if I do, then there's no shot we save the baseball team. So I just worked my ass off, and all the people I was doing this with worked our asses off to be able to make somebody that's not very accessible come to our campus, shed light on the campus, give us more recognition than we've had in years from a school perspective. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, thanks, but now we can never associate with you again. So it was really tough.
Why would an athletic department say that though? Like, they are in a position where like they should, accept as much help as they can get, especially during the troubling financial times they were in. Like, why would they say you can't associate with this entity when this entity could help you so much? Like, I don't understand that.
And it's all part of the story. Again, things happen, they're out of our control, and that's what it is. But again, things were going awesome. Things could not have been going better. All of a sudden, like, again, we're on this pizza review. Everybody's talking about LaSalle baseball. Like, everybody's just, it was a cool thing for like the community. Like the Philadelphia baseball community, which is a very strong community. Everybody was pumped up because it's like, we just got some love from something that's really big for our demographic. Like all of a sudden, everybody's talking about LaSalle baseball in Philly, and it was just the first one of its kind at that time. So it was really cool from that perspective. And I think for a lot of the guys that ended up having to transfer after it was cut, like, they kind of got that extra like time in the spotlight, and it was cool. And I think they all probably hopefully were able to cherish that too as part of their time at LaSalle. But basically what happened was we gave Portnoy a bunch of gear. He was wearing the gear on like Barstool shows, and we're like, this is so cool. Like, so we're in LaSalle baseball gear. And on one show, he had said something about it being the worst campus he had ever stepped on. And obviously the school, and he didn't know it was a hot mic. He didn't know. Obviously the school was looking for any reason they could to not have to bring back baseball. So they use that as a cause to, which again, I understand what they're doing. I understand what they're doing. And everything that happened, I understand. That's why I'm not mad at the school. I never have been. And I think a lot of people are mad or were mad. And I think that you have to understand that it's the thing that I am mad about is the lack of thinking from an innovation perspective as opposed to eradication. So that's the one thing, but that's a mentality. That's not a decision. So,
man, yeah. So thinking more from an innovation perspective as opposed to an eradication perspective. Yeah, dude. No, I'm sorry to hear, man. Yeah, that's tragic, man. That the program ended up getting cut. But I mean, do you feel any solace knowing that like you were able to exhaust like all the resources possible to like try to save it? I mean, like, how did that even start? Like, it just started from a tweet, like you tweeted Portnoy just like with like a shot in the dark, and then it just took off from there? Or?
Yeah, but like, again, this is where I was so lucky to be working at 76 Capital and to be learning all these new things and trying to be creative. But like, I was like, I feel like I can make this work. Like, I felt like confident in that. I was like, I feel like I have all the pieces here and I can plug them together creatively to make this really benefit everybody. Like, my whole pitch to Portnoy was, all right, we'll do the pizza review. Let's start a merch store. Let's do content. Let's do other things. Let's add a Barstool store, add a Barstool pizza place at the field. When we redo the field, we add naming rights, like NIL stuff. Like, all these things is what I proposed to the school at the time and said, hey, NFT, like everything that before it became big is kind of what I was trying to say. Hey, you can be the first school to be part of this.
Man,
And
they missed the opportunity, dude. First NFT for all the NIL stuff. I mean, look at it now, man. Just 2 years later. I mean, it's
bro,
exploded.
sometimes it is frustrating. Honestly, it is, because it's like, man, I would have loved the chance to be, because again, I was right in the middle of it being at 76 Capital, getting to see all these things before they were mainstream, which I loved, because again, not only is it good for me, but it's good for me to be able to, like, I should have said this earlier, but somebody asked me right before, I swear to God, the day before the South baseball program got cut, like, what's your goal in life? And I swear to God, this is my answer. It's to make a difference in the world. I don't know. I was like, and that's not to be corny or anything, but it's like, honestly, like, I need to do something. Like, what's the point of just being here, working my ass off, and then all of a sudden, one day I'm going to die? Like, there's got to be something.
Yeah.
And then
Something
the
bigger.
next day was when the program got cut. So I just had this like I had to do it. I had to do it. I just was thinking creatively from a business perspective and trying to bring different opportunities in that were not only going to help the school, the baseball team, the players, the businesses, the community. Like, everything was thought about. And again, were there holes in it? I'm sure, but I was really trying to do it as you know, a one-man team with a few people that were able to do this when they weren't doing their full-time job. But we had a lot of people that cared a lot and spent a lot of their time, and I'm so appreciative for all those people, because it wasn't an easy thing, because we were told things by the school, we were told things by donors, we were told things, like, it was a constant up and down and up and down. And our shareholders, our stakeholders at the time, were the parents of the kids who all of a sudden told their scholarships that they had worked their asses off for are taken away. They have to go find a new home now. So, and financially, that's not an easy thing. Just logistically, it's not an easy thing. So the whole time, like, we're trying to handle parents asking questions, and I want to be able to give the answer, hey, it's coming back. Let's freaking go. Like, that was my dream, to be able to send that text. Like, I was willing to give every single thing I own, every dollar I've ever owned or invested, everything, and put it into it. And I swear to God, like, I actually was so close to doing that, but it wasn't even enough. And it was like, I would have done anything. And I think that's where I have solace in knowing that I literally did try every single possible thing, try to think as creatively as possible. And I think I do have satisfaction in seeing it work elsewhere, and seeing that at least some of those thoughts that I had and trying to use in a way that was going to help LaSalle, because I care about LaSalle and I want to do LaSalle good. It's good to see them come true. It's good to see them grow. And I hope one day I have the chance to help LaSalle do the same thing and bring baseball back. Like, that's my, I will never stop trying. And that's if I ever make enough money, that will be the first thing I do, because it's not just a baseball team. It's, you bring back the baseball team, then you make it a charitable organization. You give back to that community too. And that's something that I really think is true. So like that's, I'm gonna do it one day. It's gonna be freaking awesome. And then we're gonna be back on this podcast, and I'm gonna be sitting at LaSalle's field, and I'm gonna be smoking a cigar and saying, we freaking did it, baby.
We did it. LaSalle's back. No, that'd be epic, man. And I have no doubt, considering the way you are driven with your goals and accomplishing them, that you'll do it one day, man. But like you said, I mean, it's bigger than just a team. It's like it's a brotherhood. It's meeting up with them this weekend and y'all having a good time and talking about life and where your life is going. Like, those are lifelong friendships, and the way that you guys are able to then use that friendship and that camaraderie to spread that into the community and spread that. There's a quote, it says, like, generosity echoes through the universe. It's like, it's bigger than just a team. Do you think that they were just so set on cutting it anyways? Like, there was almost no amount of money that would have done it, because they all raised a lot of money, 700, upwards of 700K. Like, I mean,
like, there were so many things going against us, and I think things way out of my control, the school's control. And I think, again, that was the toughest thing, is we had to let it ride it to the sunset, because after a certain point, there was not a single other thing, even financially. Like, I had more money than I could have had given if there was any note from the school saying that if X amount was raised, then they'd bring it back, but they wouldn't give me that. Which, again, my goal was never to do anything negative towards the school or make the school in any bad position. My goal was to bring the damn baseball team back and make the school better because of it.
100%.
So, and that was the thing. It's at a certain point, when does it start doing the school damage? When, like, I can't be talking down upon the school or highlighting the things that they're doing wrong. So that's where after the season was over, it was kind of like, you know what? We did every single thing we could. The team, they set the school record for wins in their last season ever. It was magical run. And you know what? That's it. That's pretty freaking badass to have a school record for wins in your last season ever, and then
Yeah.
shut the door on something that should not have been shut. And that leads me to believe again that school record will be broken in a few years when they come back.
Hell yeah, man. If there's any way to ride out though, like right off into the sunset, it's like that, setting the school record for wins. Yeah, man. It's sad to hear, but I mean it's dope, like I said, having the solace knowing that you did everything possible and you got someone as, hard to access as like a Portnoy of a bar stool to help in that journey. And what was he like, man? Like interacting with him during the pizza review, all that good stuff. What was Portnoy like, on a personal level?
I mean, again, this is all just from my experience, but the
Uh-huh.
dude came out of his way to
Mhm.
come help us. Like he was in New York, I think, and he thought LaSalle was in Pittsburgh, which I thought was hilarious too. But he thought LaSalle was in Pittsburgh, and he was going to fly to Pittsburgh just to do it. And instead, he all saw Philly, and he took the train. But like, he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do anything, and he really did. Like, he put on for us, and he gave us a fighting chance. And I am forever grateful for that because you know what, like again, he could have just not done anything. There's people that tweet him stuff every single day, and he made fun of me during the pizza review. That's whatever, but it's okay. But no, he honestly,
What did
he
he do? I don't remember. I remember watching it on Instagram. I thought it was cool, but I don't remember the.
he well, so I'm at the time I was 26, I think,
Uh-huh.
and he didn't know I had already graduated. So he's like, "What are you, the shortstop?" I'm like, "Dude, I graduated." He's like, "You graduated? What the hell are you up here for then?" Or something like that. I'm like, "Dude, I told you, it was just a little, but
Yeah,
it was,
yeah, that's funny.
but again, it's so funny. But
That's
again,
funny,
he was
man.
a great dude, man, and again, he did something for us that didn't have to do, and then not a lot of other people would and didn't. So I am forever grateful. It was a really cool experience for myself and everybody else involved. It was a really cool day for LaSalle. And again, can't say anything else about him besides what I've experienced, but
Yeah,
I'm
100%.
so thankful and grateful for that.
Yeah, yeah. I think y'all played it well though. I feel like that's very good strategy in terms of like just life. It's like people have egos and like playing to the ego and stroking the ego is a good way to get things done. Like with the Portnoy situation, like hey, name on the field or whatever the case may be. It's
Yeah,
like or even on this podcast, a lot of people ask me like, how do you bring people on the podcast? I'm like, it's people, their egos kind of stroked. It's like an honor to them to be like, oh, I'm worthy to be on a podcast. And like, I'm super grateful for like people like yourself, like coming on and just having the genuine conversation and sharing wisdom that like, listeners will hit me up later on after like, hey, I listened to that podcast with James and I gained a lot of insight, regarding like just like how to set your life up to where you have more energy and more passion and things like that. I've had a lot of people hit me up like, like, oh, I listened to your podcast with so and so and they were working in this space and then they completely pivoted over here. I didn't know you could do that. That gives me
yeah.
hope because I don't like where I'm at. So I'm super grateful, to you, man, for offering the wisdom, bro.
Again, I appreciate you allowing me to talk about this stuff, and I think like, because like you don't get to talk about yourself a lot. You don't get to talk about your story a lot. And I think sometimes doing that, you learn a lot about yourself doing it. So I know I've learned about a lot about myself talking to you about it and thinking about things I haven't thought about in a long time. And that's good though, too, because then like I'm reflecting on that and I'm going to learn more about myself at the same time. But I think the biggest thing too, and I think this is something that, especially during the pandemic, when there's so many podcasts, so many interviews,
Yeah.
but having ego as opposed to like confidence slash identity in a podcast or anything in life, like ego and being cocky is one thing, but I think
Yeah.
something that I've tried to learn and I try to do a good job with, I hope, is it's not ego, it's not being cocky. I'm happy and confident in the person that I've become and the stories that have led me to being that person. And that's what I'm happy sharing. Like none of the experiences, none of the accolades, none of the positive things are meant to be braggadocious. It's all like,
Yeah.
no, I'm sharing these stories because there may be somebody out there that was in a similar situation or has never thought a certain way before that may now hear this and be like, shit, like I can do that too. And that's kind of like how I try to think of everything. Like fitness is my thing. I love working out. I feel like I never get tired. Like again, I never get tired. I can lift crazy weights for long periods of time. And that's awesome. But that's me. But I think that's also because anybody can do that, but they have to mentally get in the right way. And then physically that comes with the mental. So I truly believe anybody can do anything. And I think that's just something that I like to be proud of, that I truly believe I can do anything. And I'm proud to tell other people that they can do the same thing.
Yeah, 100%, man. No, that's beautiful. I think there's a really important nuance there, like the difference between, like braggadocious, cocky arrogance and humble, happy confidence. You know what I mean? Like I always think from my perspective, I think that arrogance is like really insecurity trying to mask itself through
Yep.
overconfidence. You know what I mean? Versus like you can tell when a dude is genuinely confident. It doesn't come across as like too much or over the top. It's just like a sincerity about like what they've done, what they're proud to have accomplished, and the philosophies they have, and just trying to share it and help others through that confidence. So I think that's an important nuance, man. Definitely, arrogance versus confidence. Like I feel like everyone should be in a place where they do things and they discover enough about themselves to be confident. But I don't think people should be arrogant. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
that's when it crosses into arrogance is when it's like, okay, it's time to check the ego.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think of it as, this is something that I really try to get better at too, is always trying to think from the other side. Like, what is somebody else? What is their reaction? Why are they having that reaction? Like, there's a reason they're upset with something. They're not taking it the right way. Like, but
Yeah.
instead of immediately thinking that they're wrong, it's like, well, why are they thinking that way? Because then if I can understand that, then I can not have that same situation ever happen again.
True.
And I think of that with all things, especially with my business now. Like, if edits or mistakes or anything happens, okay, it'll never happen again because I'm going to learn from that damn mistake. And I'm so happy I made that mistake in that situation, because you know what? Like, it's literally never going to happen again. So that's just something that I just really think is important, is like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not do things perfectly, but as long as you understand it's an opportunity instead of a negative thing, like that's true growth.
100%. 100%, man. No, that's powerful stuff, bro. So along the lines of, you starting your own venture now and all that stuff, what led you there, man? So like, you're at 76 Capital. You've, figured out that that finance route wasn't for you, but you're now with a VC who, operates in the sports space. You're on the chief of staff, right? Like, what's
Yeah.
the journey like from there? And like, what was it like working with there? Like, what kind of stuff were y'all working on before you ended up going to
Yeah.
Fubo?
It was the best opportunity in the world. I'm forever gracious to have had the chance to work
Uh-huh.
with Wayne, Chad, and John, and the rest of the team there.
Mhm.
Like, it was like, I didn't even sometimes I think I don't deserve to be here, because I was in rooms with people, conversations of things that I never would have even dreamed of. But again, that initial shock of being in those rooms or being in those conversations, once I realized that I was there for a reason, and then I wanted to be an active part of those and then really contribute. And I had to have that self-realization there. I'm like, I don't know enough yet. Again, like, I don't understand venture capital yet. I need to understand this part of our business to be able to truly have success. So I started studying it. I started understanding and asking tons of questions. And that's why the team was so great, because Chad and Wayne and John, like, they would literally answer. I'd ask a million questions a day, but they'd have them for me right away. And Jess David, who left during the pandemic, but she was there when I had started, and we had a true dream team. It was amazing. And I was chief of staff, so I got to work on a little bit of everything. So I got to work directly with Wayne as the managing partner. I got to work on basically running the investment team, so getting to look at all the deals coming in, working with entrepreneurs, determining what our capital was going to go towards. I got to work a little bit on the investment side of, as far as, or the investor relations side of trying to find new investors, and understanding the VC side. And it was just, I got to do and see so much, and every day was different. And I was like, well, this is the opposite of finance. So that's great. And and the coolest thing for me was that halfway along the way, and again, it was right when the pandemic started, is when Jess left us. And again, she went to Intel. She's a rock star, but I learned so much from her. But we lost our director of marketing, and then nobody could leave their house for 3 months. So it's like, all right, well, what the hell are we going to do? And I said, like, I want to see if I can do this. Like, I had never done it before. I had never done a lot of the tasks that came with it, but I was like, I never have more time than I have right now in March 2020. I might as well try to learn some new skills. And they gave me the opportunity to, and I ran with it. So then basically for the next year and a half, I got to work as chief of staff and director of marketing. So really bringing together business, creative and trying to grow companies, grow revenue, whatever it may be through that. And it was awesome. And eventually I got to a point where I was like, I need more. Like, again, I just was like, I need more. I want to do more. I think I can continue to grow. And one of our companies that we had invested in had just gotten acquired, public companies. They were called Victory when we invested, became Fubo Gaming. And I was really good friends with the guys who started it. And, is a lot happening in my life with the LaSalle baseball stuff. It took a toll on me afterwards. It was really tough for me to just get through not having that and feeling like a failure for a while. Like, honestly, it was tough. And I was just done with Philly. I was like, I am ready to do something else. And again, that opportunity came to go to Chicago to work with people I was friendly with and to help the portfolio company of 76 grow. I was like, I don't know if I'll ever have this chance again. So I took it and ran with it. And I moved to Chicago, and it was an awesome experience. And Fubo was a great experience. I got to work in sports betting and work with some really cool people. And I'm so happy I did it. And I only did it for a year, but it was the best decision I ever made. And I just moved back to the Philly area, but Chicago is now second home for me. I have friends out there, I have connections out there, I have memories out there. Like, it was so cool. I just am so happy I had that opportunity, but I also learned a lot about myself from a personal and a work perspective too.
That's dope, man. That's crazy that just in 1 year, it could become a second home and you could have made so many great memories out there, bro. Um, yeah, I'm curious, dude. What do you think, before you got to Fubo, like what were the biggest things you learned about just venture capital and business and the sports industry from your time at 76? Like what were the biggest insights you gained?
Yeah, I think from just a work perspective, like organization and workflow and efficiencies, if you can think ahead, you can have success anywhere, but specifically in sports. Like, if you're going to bust your ass and really make sure that you're thinking of what's going to be next as opposed to just dealing with what's given to you, you can have success, because that's what sports really is. It's all about the next top prospects, the next top athletes, the next top plays, whatever it is. It's about somebody basically innovating. So I think of that in the same way in the sports industry from a company and technology perspective. There's always going to be something new and better. So I think when we were at 76, I mean, that's literally what we did. It's like, what are the new companies? What are the new verticals that we can get focused on that we can then help grow and we can become more knowledgeable on it? And I love that. And I think that's what made me successful there, is like, instead of it being, oh man, like this is another thing we have to do, add to our list. Like, no shit, like we get to learn about a whole new thing, meet the companies that are actively trying to do it that know it better than anybody else. So like every day is basically a lecture, but instead of one lecture and you're tired and you're sitting in a class, I was learning from entrepreneurs who had built this and quit their jobs to build their passions. And learning from them was unbelievable, because it gives you hope that you're like, these guys or these girls or whatever it may be, they've taken that chance. They're so passionate about something that they're building this. And then you meet some really smart people, some great companies. And then like, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, because I loved that aspect that I got to meet and talk with and learned from so many different people. Like, where else was I ever going to get that chance? Like, I didn't get an MBA, but I sure as hell feel like I did, because all of a sudden for 3 years, 3 years, I was in rooms and conversations and learning from people way smarter than I am. And just being able to take that in and like, I was able to digest it. And I think that's an important thing, is being able to know how to handle information like that. And I feel like I was able to, and keep those networks alive. And it was a hell of an experience.
That's awesome, bro, that you feel like you got an MBA. Like, despite not having gone to like, traditional MBA business school, you learned so much in those meetings from those people who, have lived and breathed that stuff and taken those chances and raised the money and are
Yep.
entrepreneurs and have created their own companies. That's awesome, bro. That's awesome, dude. Like,
And the
I can't
cheapest way
imagine
in
the
the
amount you
world.
learned. And also like the mentality you had about it. It's like, it's not, oh, I have to take these notes and learn this stuff. I get to learn from the greatest minds doing it. I get to take these notes. I think that's a powerful mentality too. Like,
I wish
instead of
I
I
had that
have
in
to, I get
college.
to.
I wish I had that in college. Like, I really did. In college, it was like, no, I have a test. I need to get this for my grades to be good. I would, and this is just how I work. I like to be somebody that does things and under that pressure. So I would study right before the test, and that would be the first time I'd look at it, and I would
Yeah.
do good on the test. And I'm lucky I was able to do that. But I wish I sat in those classes and really was able to take all that stuff in and see it as like, hey, this is amazing. I'm getting to learn this stuff.
Yeah.
Again, people always have that realization too late, but I wasn't going to let that happen twice in my life where I regret not fully being attentive to
True.
things. And that really did help me.
Yeah, no, that's true, man. That's dope. That's dope that you learned all that at 76. So once you got the Fubo, right? Like you had met these guys from your time working at 76. What were you doing specifically with Fubo Gaming? I know you mentioned working on some sports betting stuff, but what was it like? Like what was your day to day and some of the projects you did during your time there?
Yeah, so I was strategic partnerships manager, and I think like sales is something I've always wanted to do, and I think I have a natural sales mentality. Like I always like kind of, for one, I felt like I was always trying to sell from a baseball perspective as a recruit. Like why would you want me on my team? So like I think understanding it from different perspectives, and then also as a consumer, like I am so mesmerized by like ad campaigns or billboards and different things, and I'm like, why am I so intrigued by this? And I try to figure that out. So I think as like that's why I've always wanted to be in sales. So I saw this opportunity with Fubo to do that, but with big brands. So it's how do I tie in the biggest brands into this rapidly growing sports book, and how do I drive revenue for both sides and help us with user acquisition? So it made a lot of sense for me as far as like what I wanted to do next in my career and get experience doing. And Fubo was a great place to do it because it was a cool product, and we were a fun young team that had this chance to just do something that people hadn't really done before. And really my goal, like it was again to try to get these big brands to work with us, but it was also to get us launched in a few states. And we were launched in 3 states by January, which was quicker than we'd expected. And for me, it was a really cool experience to understand the nuances of sports betting and regulatory things and all those different aspects of just that business. But um after that, this is something that I feel like has happened to me a few times. I was like, what is next? Like,
Yeah.
what is next? Like, I can only do so much. It's a corporate environment, public company, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I know for me, I'm like, I'm one to always be working on something. I
Yeah.
don't want to have like a little downtime. I don't like that. So I was like, what? I really sat down one day. I was like, what did I enjoy doing most in my career? Like, what have I like really just again woken up or you know I haven't gone out one night or I haven't done anything for a whole weekend to stay in to do because I was so excited to do it.
Mhm.
And like I really thought about that. Like I'm like, what the hell did I do? Like, I have no idea. And then I was like, honestly, it was being the director of marketing and then being able to tie that into the business aspect and business background that I had. And it was the graphic design work, the video editing, the general ad creative and strategic campaigns we would run. And I was like, I freaking love that. And I love doing this stuff. And I'm like, I feel like there's an opportunity in the market right now for growth stage companies or individuals or athletes, whoever it may be, that need really good looking stuff. They need
Yeah.
really good looking graphics. They need videos. They need templates, like even pitch decks, which is something I saw thousands of pitch decks, and I can make a pitch deck for somebody that looks professional in a few hours now because I've seen so many. Like,
Yeah.
but I was like, these are necessary services that can actually really help people. And then I was like, you know what? I think I have something here. I've worked my ass off for so long. I've saved up. Now or never. I'm 28. Like I have no, I'm getting older every day. So I got to do this now. I said, you know what? I haven't been scared about anything I've done. I moved to Chicago and I said, I didn't even think twice. I'm doing this too. And I didn't want to leave Fubo, but I felt like it was the right time. And I did. And then I started through 2 strategies. And now I have an actual business and I have interns and I've been really able to help companies go from a company to a true brand, and that's my goal.
Oh yeah. That's awesome, bro, that you're able to help, early stage companies that, they're just a company and you're able to elevate them to a brand. That's dope, dude. And that's wild that, you said, for lack of better words, fuck it. There's no better time than now. I'm getting older every day. Even though I just got the Fubo a year ago and I'm not necessarily ready to leave, but I feel like there's no better time to do it than now. I think that's the definition of a true entrepreneur. It's like, I feel like the difference between an entrepreneur and someone that's not is like there's this, we all have a sense of perfectionism, right? Like, oh, I don't want to start yet because this isn't right in my life or this isn't right and I need to get this in line. But it's like just the ability to say, you know what, it's not gonna be perfect, but we're here, we're ready to go, let's do it. That's powerful, bro. And that's dope that you took
Yeah,
in so much knowledge from 76 and then Fubo and you're implementing it now at 32. That's dope, bro.
like
Um,
I said earlier, it's like I'm gonna make mistakes. I already have, like that's
yeah,
okay. Like, but I have to just know. be cognizant of that in the moment and be like, oh, you know what? I really shouldn't have done that, or I should have gone this way.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, you know what? At least I learned from it. At least it's not an empty mistake. Like I feel like at job, you make mistakes. That may not translate to the next job. In this
True.
job, I'm like, now everything kind of makes sense because I'm the, it's on me to get stuff done. And I wanted to put that pressure on myself again. Like my clients rely on me for them to have success. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
I say I'm an extension of their brand because I want to be. I care just as much as they do. And I think that's important for a consultant.
100%. Before I dive more into the 32, bro, I'm curious. So what I know Fubo Gaming like operates like in the sports betting space and like esports, right? What exactly is Fubo Gaming and like
Sure.
yeah,
So
what's the T there?
basically, Fubo TV is a sports centric streaming platform. So like think of like how you want to watch, the Cowboys on a Sunday. You're looking for a way to do it without having a cable box. Like Fubo TV would be your way to do it.
Uh,
Fubo Gaming is the sports book that pairs with that. So basically, it was the first ever streaming sports book in the sense that again, it knows you're watching Eagles Cowboys, and you could be on your phone on the Fubo Sportsbook app, and then you press that button, all of a sudden it takes you right to the game. Like it was pretty cool. And again, that technology, there's a big place for that in sports betting eventually. And it's going to happen hopefully with Fubo. But it was a really cool project. And again, the opportunities were endless.
that's pretty dope, bro. And I mean, you can see the rest of the industry shifting that way, whether it be ESPN doing their, fantasy sports shows on ESPN Plus or like the stuff on just regular cable TV where they're showing, the betting lines underneath the game. So that's dope, bro.
Yeah.
What gave you the inspiration to name it 32 strategies?
Yeah. So that was my number in college.
Okay.
And it's funny, like my roommate, Joe Ravert, he called me 3-2 one time, like after my number. Like he just said it randomly, like very inconspicuous. And like for some reason it stuck with me. I don't know why. Again, like everything happens for a reason, but I don't know why that memory stuck with me of him calling me that, but it made me proud because I was like, that is my identity. Like that was my number. Like that's like how my teammates knew me as, and I like that. And so that's basically what I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna name it that. And the logo is the number with a telescope as an ode to LaSalle, 4 stars for the Chicago flag, and the colors of the 1980 Phillies. So I kind of really try to like I think that I have to have passion of the brand. I have to have passion of how it looks and feels and sounds. So that's something that, when building it and being very specific with how I did everything, I'm pretty proud of.
Yeah, dude, no, that's dope. Yeah, I'm looking at the logo right now. Yeah, no, that's dope that, it encompasses who you are. A lot of things that are dear to your heart, whether it be like the Philly, Chicago stuff, your number in college, like that's dope, dude. Has there been any like favorite projects that you guys have done so far at 32?
Yeah, so I think one I really like to highlight is called Speakeasy for Sports. An exclusive network of sports professionals, and specifically right now college basketball professionals. And
Okay.
for me, I kind of came in and said, hey, here's what you guys have. You have an awesome platform. You have really engaged community. How do we grow that community? How do we nurture that community? And how do we empower that community? So basically, in a few weeks, few months, it's really become we've grown a lot in the sense of the plan, the strategies really come to life, and we've frequent content, newsletters, just a different graphic template feel. And then we launched a podcast called Last Call with Jamie and Christian, I guess 2 weeks ago. And it's out of this world right now. I mean, over 1,000 plays already in just a few weeks. Like,
Awesome.
and that's great to have the success of the numbers and the data and the growth. But it's the community that we built where everybody is really uplifting each other now. And when we post these different pieces of content, other people are supporting. And I think that's the opportunity with the brand Speakeasy for Sports, is like we can really do something for a community that doesn't have a place for them to all be focused and directly connected to 24/7, 365. So we want to provide that. So I've really enjoyed that project because it's happened quick and materialized quick with how much it's worked, and the opportunities are endless from here.
That's dope, man. I mean, you started it in March, right? So it's been like almost 5 months now. It seems like y'all have taken off pretty quickly. Have been working on a lot of stuff pretty quickly, bro. That's exciting, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I have a few clients and a few projects that we work on. So it's not about finding like a certain amount of clients or a certain amount of money coming in. It's all about the right clients to work with, the right ones that we can really help build and grow. And I say prepare your brand for takeoff. Like I want to be able to take what you have and in like a week show you the difference that you can see. And the good thing is from an aesthetic perspective, I can guarantee that you'll see it, everything will look cleaner, look more professional.
100%.
But then you'll start to see the data, the backup. This is working. This is why it's working. Here's the next thing that we can do. So it's always about thinking creatively and innovating and doing as anything I can to help these companies.
100%. James, I know you're busy, man. You got a weekend ahead of you. Do you have what, 10 more minutes or so?
Yeah, 10 minutes is great.
Okay, awesome, man. Because I don't want to keep you too long. I was planning on just doing it like an hour to an hour and a half, but the conversation was so good, and we went so many places with it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, man. No, 10 minutes is great. Absolutely.
yeah, I appreciate your time, bro. Yeah, I'll just ask like a couple more, like, kind of rapid fire questions, and we'll end it with, where we can where people can find your stuff, follow your stuff. But yeah, I'm curious, bro. So what was your biggest play at LaSalle? Like what's the play or the game that you're most proud of?
Oh man. I'll give one. Like I have two. Like I don't have that many great moments, unfortunately, but I have two moments specifically on the field that I can share. One's more of like kind of embarrassing but cool, and the other one's more of like a little bit like a feel good. But my second career appearance, we were at Charleston Southern, and it was the last game of the series, like a late Sunday night.
Yeah.
And I came in the bottom of the 12th, I think it was, or bottom of the 11th. Guy on first, tie game, and it was literally my second appearance. Actually, guy on first and second, sorry. First kid hit an infield single. So it was bases loaded, one out. And I'm like, all right, well, Jesus Christ. Like it's tie game, bottom of the 11. I'm like, all right, what the hell am I supposed to do here? And remember I said I was balking like crazy? I was balking like crazy. Thank God, whoever that umpire is did not call the box on me. Thank God he did not do that because it would have sucked. But I ended up getting another out without a guy scoring. And then I got my first college strikeout on a sweeping slider to end the inning with bases loaded. And it was just one of those things. Like I like became the Incredible Hulk. I was punching my chest so hard and screaming and like so hyped up that I ended up like having to throw up in the trash can in the dugout afterwards. And then I pitched another inning after, and then I did the same thing. So it was pretty cool though. Because
wait, what do you mean by you did the same? You threw up after that inning too?
Yeah, I threw 2 innings and I threw up. Yeah. But it was such a cool thing because I'd always dreamed of being in that situation.
Yeah.
To be able to come in and we ended up winning the game. Like I pitched an inning and 2/3, didn't let up a run, and then another guy came in and pitched the last inning, and he got the win. Like I made a difference to win a Division I baseball team a game. And like at the time, I was like, I can't believe I just threw up in a dugout. I'm such a loser, but that was sick. Like that was so exciting.
If there's any way to do it, it's after surviving the bases being loaded with only one out. Damn, you must have been like just beating the shit out of your chest, and your body must have just been going through it, bro, to just go throw up in the dugout afterward.
The adrenaline was absolutely insane. The worst thing is there's no videos or pictures or anything of it at all. I'm like, I wish I could just see how ridiculous I looked.
You wish, but at the same time, it's kind of cool that it's only etched in your memory. You know what I mean?
And my teammates' memory, because everybody makes fun of me for like throwing up in the dugout and like in a fun way. But it's a unique memory in that sense. But the other one I'd say is it was like a Tuesday game, and my dad had just was able to come off work early and come see me play at LaSalle. And we were losing, we were losing like 7-3 in the 4th inning, and I came in, or the 2nd inning, and I ended up pitching, I think 5 innings and only let up 1 hit. And it was just like out of nowhere, I just pitched like we ended up losing, which sucked, which is the worst thing when I pitch well and then we lose. Like I can't be happy about it.
Yeah.
But I pitched like out of this world good. I wasn't throwing hard. So I just was for the first time ever throwing strikes. And I literally threw 5 innings, only let 1 infield single, and that was it. And my dad was there to be able to see that. So it was just one of those things like I'm always remember him being like, you weren't throwing hard, but you pitched pretty damn good today. And I just remember like laughing, just like, it's just a cool memory for him to get to see me succeed at that level like that. So
No, that's dope. I could imagine that that's a dad's dream come true, right? Seeing their son, at that level have some success. So that's dope, bro. That's dope. What were the coolest like innovations or things y'all invested in from your time at 76, or just like what do you think are the coolest, innovations happening in the space, man? Whether it be like NFT stuff, blockchain stuff, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, at 76, I mean, I don't even want to choose a specific portfolio company, but the verticals
Mm,
uh it's sports tech is a general vertical, so really can be anything
mm,
from like data and analytics, sports media, wearables, like all those types of things.
mm,
And then it was esports and sports betting. So those three verticals alone, like I think especially like I started 2019 and then the pandemic happens 2020 and everything that was in physical is now virtual. And like
mm,
we had kind of already been prepared, and a lot of our companies were already prepared because they were tech focused. So I think for me, it was seeing all of our portfolio being able to succeed and thrive during a time when most businesses were failing because they weren't prepared. And I think that was like really cohesive to the mission of 76 Capital, which was investing in smart and nice entrepreneurs. Because if you don't invest in smart people and you invest in an idea, but the wrong people are associated with it, when a time like the pandemic comes, they're going to fail. But if you invest in really good people with really good ideas, or really good people that have the passion and work ethic to then figure out those ideas, they're going to have success. And I think, again, like not a specific company, not a specific vertical, but I was so enamored by the way everybody was able to figure out how to navigate those waters. And I think now, I mean, I think it's really, again, I said earlier, sports is just a constant innovation, whether it's players, whether it's teams, whether it's these leagues, the media rights. I think it's really the convergence of everything coming together. How are we going to see NFTs and the metaverse come into the way we watch football on Sundays? How are we going to see sports betting play a part of that? How is esports going to do something to change the way that somebody that may not love football now wants to interact with it because of Madden or because of VR? Like all of these things have a way of touching every single thing we do and how we consume sports and play sports. And I think it's more of that. It's like, how do we put these pieces together instead of just trying to create more competitors? Like I think there's less competition. It should be more cohesion and combinations of companies as opposed to just trying to build these mega companies at this point. Because I think sports betting is a perfect example. Nobody's going to have the marketing budgets to compete with the top three, top four companies in the next year or two. Like
yeah.
this company's already in the red. And instead of now, like it's almost like you're setting yourself up for failure. But if you kind of figure out a way to work together with those big players that have those marketing budgets, then you know what, maybe there's a way for them to have success, or maybe they do something different. There's a differentiator, or there's a partnership there. But I think again, it's like being realistic, being creative, and trying to find those next big things or those new ways that nobody's really thought of yet, or if they have, making it better. I think imitation is the finest form of flattery. I think that's the quote, but like it's the truth. Like there's a difference between somebody completely copying and stealing an idea and taking something that's a general idea and making it really freaking good.
Hmm. Yeah, bars right there, man. Do you think and on the esports topic, do you think like augmented reality, like do you think we'll see that in the future where like maybe if you don't have the, physical real life dimensions of, an NFL player, like, as opposed to being 6'4", 280, just a chiseled, athlete, if you're like shorter or small, do you think we'll see like certain things come out where like, okay, you could be a pro athlete in the esports space, like in Madden, where you're like kind of like you're in the game, but you're like you're making body
Yeah,
movements. You get what I'm saying? Like that kind of
yeah.
thing.
So actually, Andrew Hawkins,
Mm,
from the Browns, he played for the Browns.
mm,
He has a company that just started doing that. It's called Status Pro, and basically they're allowing you to basically it's a training tool, but also a VR tool to allow people to basically be inside the game and train and see what it's like catching a pass from a quarterback
mm,
and kind of trying to get through a gap as a running back. Like it's those types of tools that are going to only get better, but are going to be able to allow that simulation. And you can argue whether simulations and the AR VR world's
yeah.
good for mental health, physical health, all that. From a cool factor and a practicality factor, like that stuff's going to be here before we know it. When reality in the baseball space, they do the same thing. I mean, you can go face Chris Sale or go face Max Scherzer via Win Reality right now in a VR headset and face 99 with movement and see a slider that's going to bite more than you ever imagined in your life, and get to see and stand in the box and see what that looks like. So that stuff's already there. Now, competition wise, there's a lot of things, and I think we've seen this in the general esports space. It's like it's hard to regulate and it's hard to manage all that because there's a lot with technology. There's a lot of ways to find loopholes and hack, and so it's figuring all that out from that next step of bringing that into competitiveness. But from a usability, fun perspective, and just a practice perspective, that stuff's out there now.
Wow, man. It's yeah, it's coming fast and it's hard to regulate, and it's like it's just wild to think of, right? Like it's cool, it's super cool, right? But it also brings up the questions of like, is it, what kind of impact will it have on mental health, physical health, etc.? Is the guy who, maybe has a chance to do it in real life now going to sacrifice that to go do it in the video game? And is the person who's kind of smaller stature going to think that he's more tied into his, virtual self as opposed to his real life self? But that's a whole other conversation, man. Two questions left for you, bro.
All right.
Who's going to have a better record this year, Cowboys or Eagles?
The Eagles. I'm telling you, I don't
really believe it.
I'm usually not an optimist with the Eagles just because I've learned it's better that way. But they really do have a good roster. I think Jalen Hurts is going to improve with AJ Brown on that team now. And I don't know how good they'll be in the sense of like, I'm not saying we're going to make a Super Bowl run, like we're favorites or anything like that. But I do think that it's going to be, I think the games between the Eagles and Cowboys are going to be awesome this year. And I do think the Eagles will win the NFC East. So
you think they won the NFC East? Record prediction, maybe?
11-6, 11-6 or 12-5.
I forgot there's 17 games now.
Yeah.
11-6, man. We'll see, dude. I don't know. I mean, I could see y'all being a threat, but I'm trying to remove bias here as a Cowboys fan. But I do think we have a better team. But that, granted, say Jalen Hurts comes back with some improvement. Now you've got AJ Brown. AJ Brown is a monster. I don't know how the Titans let him go. So we'll see, man. It'll be good. We'll do some friendly shit talking as the months come on. But
and the biggest thing you guys have too is your team's pretty much, I mean, you have new guys too, but the main unit's been there. For us, it's a lot of new players, a lot on the offense and defense. So I think a lot more risk with that as always. But I think if they can be as good as they can be, then they're going to be really good.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, we essentially have our same unit from last year, except worse. No Amari Cooper. I'm pissed we let him go. I think he's one of the best in the league. I'm a huge Cooper fan, dude. Huge Coop fan. And then what's his name? Gregory. Let him go to the Broncos. So we got worse. We're still a good team, but we got worse. So we'll see, man.
It'll be fun.
What's up?
It'll be fun though. I mean, like I can't wait.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun for sure, man. Last question, dude. What advice would you leave the people off with in terms of, maybe their goal is to break into the sports space, or maybe their goal is to create a business like you have, or even just, find a way to live a happy lifestyle like you have? What would your advice be, bro?
Just take some time to really think about like what that means. Like, is it money? Is it people? Is it time? Like everybody has something that drives them. But I think it really takes a lot of reflecting to figure out what that truly is and then how you're going to get to that. I think you almost start backwards. Like think about what your main goal is and then take a step back and think of how you get there. Like it's not just, I want to be a millionaire. Okay, that's great. Well, it's not just that easy. But if it's like, hey, I want to do this every day and that's my main goal, how can I go back and make it so I have that time in my day? That's kind of how I got to where I'm at now. It's like, what are the things I can do to make sure I can do what I want to do on a daily basis? And I figured out this is the business model. This is the way I can do it. These are the industries I can work in. These are the remote jobs. Like, you know what I mean? Like it really, you just have to figure it out exactly what you want to do. And then once you're so steadfast in that, then you figure out how to get there. But I think it's really just creating that plan, knowing the right people, not being afraid of anything. Because again, if you're afraid, then you're not understanding that mistakes are good things. So I think it's just, again, having that mentality that you're going to go and get whatever the hell you want to, because again, we just went through a freaking pandemic. Like who the hell knows what the hell is going to happen with the rest of our time? Like you really don't know. So go get it. Like who the hell cares if somebody doesn't respond to your LinkedIn message? Who cares? That's on them. Like it's starting to think about those types of things differently. And again, like for me, it's tough because I want to be every single person I meet's friend. And sometimes people don't want new friends. Sometimes people are rude. Sometimes people are like that. And that's like, again, I don't know what they're dealing with. I don't know why they think that about me. They can think that. And it's just being comfortable with that. And again, it's part of everything. It's just understanding your place and making sure that you're making your place in the world. You're giving yourself the best chance possible to have success. And then everything else will come with that. And success is just contagious.
I love it, man. Where can the people find 32 Strategies, keep up with y'all's content, support, and, keep up with the stuff you're posting, man?
Sure. Yeah. So it's at 32 Strategies on basically everything. And then for me, it's just at James Santore. So nice and easy for both. But look, I think from a personal perspective, I do a lot of posting about random things, usually in a very self-deprecating way about my team. About myself. So but I also do on LinkedIn, especially post some things business-wise, experiences that I've had, being a young entrepreneur right now, trying to figure this out. And then from 32 Strategies perspective, we'll be a lot more active of highlighting our clients, some of the work we're doing, and especially with some of the things coming down the pipeline. I'm excited to share that stuff out. And anybody out there that is listening that just needs somebody to talk to, or they need for anything, honestly, but especially for business or just ideas, anything, just let me know. I'm always happy to talk to somebody. I will respond to you. I'll make time. And I mean that. So, that's it.
Yeah, James, this has been fun, bro. It's been a great time catching up with you and just hearing the stories from back in the day at LaSalle and, the great journey it's been for you, bro. I appreciate you sharing the wisdom. I definitely learned a lot and know the listeners will have a lot of takeaways as well, bro. It was a great time. Wish you great success on your new journey with 32 Strategies. I know you'll crush it, man. And I'm excited to see it, bro. And enjoy your weekend with the boys, man.
Appreciate it. Appreciate having me on. And it's been fun to kind of like have met you and in the beginning of all this, I guess probably the pandemic stuff and to see your growth too. Like, I think that's the coolest thing about this digital age. And, I'm excited to see what you continue to do, but thank you for this opportunity. And it was really fun catching up with you.
Yeah, dude. We'll catch up in person finally. And whenever you're down in Austin, bro.
Can't wait, man. Can't wait.
Don't be such a smart aleck.